Adora then can prove that she's a woman, but we know that gender identity is stored in the mind, and the only person that can read Adora's mind that's here is Adora.
I get what you're
So how do
saying.
you suggest that we verify it?
Well, she's trans, so she is
Okay, that wasn't
trans.
the question.
That's not verifying anything.
So she changed, so she's not a full woman, I guess. She believes she's a woman.
What is a full woman?
A full woman is one that's assigned one at birth,
What makes
as I
them full?
said.
No one is assigned one to birth.
Sorry,
What makes
female,
them
a
full
female.
women? What makes them
I
full women?
believe, I believe a woman is assigned female at birth.
Fantastic.
And
What
if
makes them that? Because
the
like
doc,
what you're talking about is your personal beliefs, but now you're making that statement and applying it to other people. So I'm asking you to ground that outside of just your own beliefs. Because I can say
okay,
I believe that that like technology doesn't exist. We're just talking through magic right now. But that obviously doesn't actually apply to real life or reality. So
yeah,
you just
because
saying
that
I
isn't.
believe that. So I am asking you to ground it somewhere.
Well, it's just like science, you know. You don't come out with like you wouldn't come out with
What science?
you wouldn't come out with you know I don't know.
What
Can I say
what
penis on
science?
live? Can I say penis
What
on live?
science?
Well, whatever.
What
Um,
science?
well, you wouldn't come out with a penis and say, "Oh yeah, that's a woman." No, you'd get assigned male.
What science? What does that have to do with science?
Cause like that's how the world works. You don't just.
That's not okay. You
It
can't
is how
just
the
go
world
cause
works.
science when you don't know what the science even is.
You
All
know,
you're
like the
doing is
X Ys
is
and that,
appealing to authority.
the XYs and the XX chromosomes and
Yes,
that.
okay, fantastic. So we actually grounded ourselves somewhere. Do you know what Swire syndrome is?
Nah, I don't.
Swire syndrome
Yeah,
is when somebody it typically hashes out that somebody born biologically female actually has an XY chromosome, which is a male karyotype, but they still have the reproductive system of somebody who is female. So at that
yeah,
point,
but what
are
are the
they
chances
a
of that?
man? Are they a man?
What are the chances of that though? Like,
Yeah, it doesn't matter because at that
it
point you've
does.
made your state. It doesn't. You've made your statement that this is what makes somebody a man or woman is those karyotypes. That's the science you grounded yourself in.
It's the
So if you're going to
combined.
be if you're going to be consistent, you're going to say that anyone with XY karyotype would at that point be
It's
male.
the combination of them both though, of your
Oh,
genitalia and your
combination of what?
chromosomes.
Combination of what?
Your genitalia and your chromosomes.
Fantastic. So at that point, what are you if you have female genitalia and a male karyotype?
Probably. Wait, which? What did you say? Sorry.
What happens? What are you then if it's a combination of those two things? What are you if you have female genitalia but XY chromosomes?
A female,
Why?
because you have the genitalia of one.
Okay, but what about the chromosomes? Didn't you just say
Yeah, but what
chromosomes
bathroom
five
would you
minutes
use?
ago?
What bathroom would you use? They would use a female
That's
one for the
irrelevant.
female
What?
genitals.
Okay. At that point, you're talking about gender, not even sex categorization. What makes the karyotype? You brought up karyotype,
Right.
but now you're appealing to something else. So is it the karyotype or
Yeah, but
not?
what are the chances of it? It's an anomaly, isn't it?
It
Not.
doesn't matter if it's an
It
anomaly.
does. It
You
does
said that
matter.
this is what you're grounding. You said the
It
science.
does
I asked you
matter.
what science. This is where you grounded yourself. So either you're going to make an exception, or you're going to say that people with male karyotypes are all male.
No, because it is an exception because it's an anomaly.
So it
Not
is an
everyone.
exception. So if you're going to make an exception, I'm going to make an exception. And I'm going to make an exception for trans women.
But you can't make an exception for the whole
Yes,
world.
I can. That's because
No,
the
you
moment
can't.
you
You
special
don't have the
plead,
power to do
you
that.
open the gate for other people to special plead. And
You
I'm
don't
going to
have the
special plead
you don't have the power to
Yeah.
for
do that.
trans women.
If you turn the comments on, I'm sure a lot of people will agree with me that
That's
I'm.
irrelevant.
Yeah.
Do you know what an ad
Well,
populum fallacy is, Scarlett?
no, I don't actually.
Yeah, an ad populum fallacy is when you appeal to a populace, to a group of people. But if I turn
Yeah.
the comments on and ask them, do potatoes grow in trees? And all of them say yes, potatoes grow in trees. Does that make them correct?
No, no, because that's just a
No,
lie.
exactly. So
Yeah, but I'm not lying. I've not made something
just because a
completely up.
group of people agree with you is irrelevant to what is
No, but I
true.
haven't just made something up. You've just made something up.
Yeah, except in this case you are, because you're making exception, but saying that I can't also make an exception. You're just making that up.
I'm not making that up.
You did. Why can't I make the exception, but you can?
Okay, so let's say, okay, let me just say, so what do you believe someone with XY chromosome is?
Typically biologically female.
Okay, so there you go.
Typically? Did you hear the word typical?
Okay, so I just have like I have a question. So let's say if someone didn't know what trans is, yeah.
Bro, are
Let's
you
say someone didn't
fucking
know
for
what
real
trans
right
is,
now?
yeah. Let's say someone
Yeah,
didn't know what trans is, and then they got learned what trans is, and then it confused them, and then they were like, "Yeah, I may be, but they're actually not." That's just like you can't just. It's just like
Yeah,
tricking the
so
mind.
guess what that's so you just pivoted and then you just kind of word saladed nonsense until you're like, yeah. Like it wasn't an argument, Scarlett.
yeah.
That was pretty
Like
smart,
that
to be
didn't do
fair.
anything.
I
That
don't
was
really feel
actually
like you're
pretty good.
engaging in the conversation, Scarlett.
I am engaging in the conversation.
You just pivoted.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. You left
No, I
the point
didn't.
behind that we were just on, and then went, but what if somebody found out about transgender rights? That's literally a pivot. You moved the
No, I
goalpost.
didn't. No, I
You
didn't.
did. You
No, I
did.
didn't. No, I
Then
didn't.
why'd you change the subject?
I didn't change the subject. Are you okay?
You literally just went, we were just talking about biological sex and karyotype, to you just suddenly
No, we
going,
didn't.
if somebody, what do you mean? Were we not just talking about karyotype?
No, we weren't.
You're not even being genuine at this point.
What?
Scarlett, you are not going to gaslight 2,000 people into believing we were not just talking about XY chromosomes.
Why are you yelling at
Yeah,
me?
really.
Calm down.
Because it's absurd the fact that you're trying to go, no, I didn't move the
We
goalpost because
weren't.
we
I
weren't
didn't.
just
No,
talking
I
about
didn't. I
chromosomes.
didn't. Are you okay? No, I didn't.
Were we
Why?
just talking
Are you
about
actually telling me
chromosomes?
what I just did?
Oh
No,
my
we
god.
weren't.
Were we just
No, we
talking about
wasn't.
chromosomes? Were
No,
we
we
just talking
wasn't.
about chromosomes?
We weren't. I'm
When
just
were we
saying
talking?
you
Did
are
we
not.
ever,
No, I say
Scarlett?
you
In
are
this
not a woman.
conversation, Scarlett.
Are
In
you
this
trans?
conversation, did we, Scarlett?
Are you
In this
trans?
conversation, did we
Are you
ever talk
trans?
about chromosomes?
What? I think we talked
Did
about
we
it for like a
ever?
minute and then we
In
moved on.
Scarlett? In this conversation, no, you tried to move on. That's called a
No, no,
pivot.
no. No, I
You
didn't pivot.
moved
No, I
the
didn't.
goalposts.
No, I
Yes, you
didn't.
did. Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Scarlett, this isn't. I don't know what you're trying to do here because this isn't doing
Seriously.
what
Can I
you think it
speak?
is. You
Can
just
I
It's just
speak?
pivoted.
entitlement.
Yeah, I would like to actually get us back to the conversation we were
Can I
just on.
speak? Are you trans?
Irrelevant.
Are you trans?
I would like to get us back to the conversation we were
No,
just
I'm just
on.
asking, are you trans?
Okay, what were we just talking about? Karyotype.
No, not at this moment. I'm asking you, are you trans?
No, I don't care about in this moment. You're pivoting again.
I was just checking your bio. I bet you have a trans
You're
friend in your bio.
pivoting again.
Are you trans though?
You're pivoting again.
Wait, I thought
I'm
you were
guessing you
able
are.
to identify people's
You
gender
you
for
are
them.
I'm
pivoting
guessing you
again.
are. Yeah, she is.
Oh, you
She
have
is
to guess?
trans.
Oh, is that hard? Anyway, so were we just talking about chromosomes just a moment ago? Or when
I
you
mean, for
tried to
like a
pivot
minute,
away?
and then I moved on
Yeah,
because
no, not
like
a minute. That was like our
I didn't
whole
pivot.
conversation. And then you
No, it
pivoted.
wasn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Do you know what a
Oh
pivot
my
is?
goodness.
I do know what a pivot
Do you
is,
know
but
what
I
a pivot
didn't.
is?
Why are you mansplaining me?
Do you know what a pivot is?
Huh?
Why are you trying to mansplain me? Don't
Do
do
you know
that.
what a pivot is, Scarlett?
I do know what a pivot
Because
is.
Andromeda
Okay,
isn't a man.
so I don't know why you're trying to pivot away from the conversation that you. Is it just that you lost, or what is it?
No, I didn't lose. I never lose.
You didn't. You didn't. Then why'd you move away from the conversation? Why'd you move the goalpost?
You
I
never
didn't move the
lose?
goalpost.
Oh my
You
gosh.
did. You did. This is just gaslighting.
No, I didn't.
You
Can
I'm
I
not
literally
trying to
can
just
I ask
gaslight
you,
you.
You're just
I'm
gaslighting.
not.
The
Scarlett?
moment that you move, you
Can you
literally
stop
changed
bullying
the
the
entire
minority on the
subject.
side?
You just changed the entire subject for no reason.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Scarlett,
You literally, we were talking about chromosomes, and then you went, well, if somebody just found out about transgender, that's literally a change of the subject.
Are you sure? Are you sure that was me?
Okay, you are, at this point, you're just having a heart
Yeah,
attack.
this
Okay,
is
okay.
just
Can
silly
I
now.
carry on? Can I carry on doing what I was
No,
saying
no,
because
you
like you
cannot.
interrupted
We
me?
can go back to the original
You
Scarlett,
conversation.
are
interrupted
you here
me.
to engage or are you
You
just
can
here to
actually
like
have the
fight?
conversation.
I'm trying to have a conversation with you, but you
Then
interrupted
cool.
me.
Then let's ground the conversation back to where we were,
Okay.
where you can either concede or we
Sorry.
can continue the conversation about karyotype. It's one or
Okay,
the
yeah,
other.
we can, I guess. Okay,
Okay.
I allow you to carry on the conversation. Go on.
Oh, you're not allowing me anything. I actually
I am allowing you.
prevented
I'm
you
allowing you to carry on.
preventing you from
Wow.
putting it away. So you can
No, go
try
on.
this power move. It's not doing anything, Scarlett.
Sorry,
You're
no,
not.
I'll
You're
let you
not
go on.
doing anything.
I'm allowing you to carry on the conversation.
You're
Come
not
on.
allowing me to do anything.
Yeah, I am.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I am. I'm allowing you to
Scarlett,
carry on.
please,
Scarlett, this
Scarlett,
is the most
I need you to
petty
either
bullshit for
engage in
no
the
reason.
I
conversation or
am.
move on.
I am engaging in the
No, you're not.
conversation.
let's
You're
see.
not.
I just said I was.
No, you're not.
Right,
I
come on
have
then.
100 guests
No, you're
waiting,
not.
Scarlett. So if you're unwilling to
I
engage, I'm
am.
sure one of the other 100
Okay,
guests
so
is.
great.
Okay.
So what is the necessary condition that makes somebody a woman? You said karyotype. So is it karyotype or not?
Okay, yeah, we'll go with karyotype.
Okay, cool. So somebody with Swire syndrome, are they biologically male then?
I mean, genitalia is a big part of it, to be fair.
Yeah, but you're
No,
saying,
okay.
you just said, oh, that's a Ferris
Oh,
wheel.
thank
Thank you for the Ferris
goodness.
wheel. Goodbye, Scarlett.
Bye.
Oh,
Guys, it is either
Yeah.
$20 cash app to my account or a Ferris wheel to kick. So thank you so much for the Ferris wheel. Appreciate you.
the entitlement.
Oh boy.
You
Yeah.
really did say you never lost.
That was the wildest attempt to gaslight a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guys, the success of this live is making me so happy, guys. So please keep tapping. With 3,200 people watching, we should easily be able to make it to 350,000 likes. So please tap away, tap and share. If you are enjoying these conversations, please give me a follow. I go live twice a day, almost every day. Please also follow my amazing panel. They are all good friends of mine, and they all put in so much work. They do such a good job advocating for this community. They deserve all the follows, all the gifts that you can reasonably send. So please help them out by following them and sending gifts. I am going to bring up the next opposition right now. Just a reminder, I'm only looking for opposition. If you are friendly, you are very much loved. Thank you for the galaxy. Thank you so much. But please do not request if you are a friendly. Also, if you're here to tone police, I'm going to drop you as soon as I get you, unless you're transgender. Transgender people, I want to hear you out. But cisgender people here to tone police, you're getting dropped.
Yeah.
And while I have 3,800 people here, we do not cash out to kick trans people, period, no matter what. I can drop them, but I will not accept money to drop them.
Hello.
How you doing, Lips?
Hello.
Hello?
Hi.
How old are you, please?
21.
21. Fantastic. And am I a woman?
I don't believe so.
Okay, why not?
Because you were born a male, right?
I have male sex characteristics. I'm pretty sure that all of my sex characteristics were male back at birth. Now only one of them are, but that's not what we're talking. We're not talking about sex. We're talking about gender.
Okay, well, people can't just change genders. Like,
Correct. I agree 100%.
okay, so then how do you change from a guy to, okay, if you were born a male, most males grow up to become men, correct? So how do you become a
Most,
woman?
not all.
Okay, so how are you a woman?
I became a woman by reaching the age of maturity. I was a girl, reached the age of maturity, became a woman.
Okay, I don't understand that. No, that doesn't make sense.
Okay, so sex and gender are different things. Can we agree on that?
No. How are they?
I'm
So
gonna go.
what issue do you take with
Adora, I'm gonna step
Byron?
down.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
How are they different? Because can you explain to me how they're different?
Sure. Yeah.
Good.
Sex is biological. It relates to your chromosomes, your gonads, your genitalia, your neurological sex, your hormonal sex. Gender, on the other hand, is psychological and social. It's how you present to society, your innate sense of self, etc.
Okay, so if one day I woke up and I felt like I was a man instead of a woman, I would be able to just go by that from now on without any question.
I should have. This is my bad. I should have added that it has to be a persistent innate sense of self. It's not something you just wake up one day and you know what? I'm a woman now. That's not how it works. It has to be a persistent sense of self that does not waver.
Okay, so at what age did you believe you were a female or a girl and a woman, not a female? 4?
4 years old.
Okay. How would you know that young? Because when you find your self-identity or whatever it's called, isn't that a part of like your sexual life too and all of that? So are you involved with how are you involved
Gender
with
is
that
not
too?
part of your sexuality.
No.
I mean, it's obviously like to be a lesbian, you have to be a woman, but your gender does not determine who you're attracted to.
I don't understand. If you're born a male, like if people think if you have the right to think that you can change your gender, then don't other people have the right to
That
like think that
that's not
you're
what we're
a
claiming.
male?
Nobody's. We all agree that you can't change your gender, but we're trying to help you understand that gender and sex are separate things. So let me give you an example here. Can a 1-year-old child be male?
Yeah.
Can a 1-year-old child be a man?
When you, yeah, no, that's a boy.
Right. So do you understand that there is a difference between sex and gender? One is strictly related to your biology, where other one is psychological and has some social aspects as well. So that's why like a 1-year-old is not a man because they socially are not an adult yet. They're not mature enough socially to be a man.
Okay, so how are you mature enough socially to know that you are
If
a
the guy in the background is like talking and
Yeah.
telling you everything, can we just talk to him, not you?
that
Yeah,
it's
it's
me and my
ridiculous.
boyfriend.
Okay, but
But
we
he's
need his
everything you're
age
saying is
too.
just after he said it. You're just repeating everything he's saying. So like, if he wants to talk, can we
Okay,
just talk
come
to him?
closer.
Whoa! You guys are rude.
Okay, what are you saying? I don't. Well, we pretty much have the same points because we were watching before this. We were talking about it.
Well,
Great.
then just
So
tell us
you,
your point.
yeah.
Our point, how like literally, it doesn't make sense because if you're not mature enough to become a man at that age or whatever, how do you know that you can go from a girl to a boy?
That's
That's
not what
not
we're
what's
claiming is happening. We're
happening.
not saying that you go from a girl to a boy. What we're saying is that between the ages of 3 and 7, that's when gender identity develops. And some people are going to notice an incongruence between their sex and their gender at that age. They won't obviously have that language. They won't be able to know, oh shit, my sex and my gender are different. They're not going to know that. There is going to be something inside telling them that, hey, you are a girl, you are a boy. This is true for everyone, not just trans people.
Okay, so
Or you're non-binary, etc.
between the ages of 3 and 7, is that when you become? Is that when you're saying you become like man or woman?
No, that's when you obviously you have to reach the age of maturity to become a man or a woman or an adult in general. Um, what I'm saying is that you recognize that you're a boy, you're a girl, you're non-binary, etc. between the ages of 3 and 7. You may not know those words, but you will have a distinct idea of what your gender is at those ages.
Yeah.
And you believe that kids are mostly coming out like trans or whatever you want to say because it's being taught and influenced more now that social media and it's like being taught in schools or like more people or what their family members and friends and
Okay, I think that is a valid thing to think that is happening. I understand why people think that, but that's not what's happening. Let me give you an example. We have left-handed people, right? And for centuries, left-handed people were stigmatized. We literally thought that left-handed people were possessed by demons, and we would beat the left-handedness out of them. So left-handed people would not tell anyone that they were left-handed because they would be ostracized by society. They would keep it hidden away. And once we realized that, hey, this is silly, we should stop hurting people because they're left-handed. There's nothing wrong with being left-handed. And once it started to become socially acceptable, we saw a boom in the left-handed population. And after it became fully acceptable for people to be left-handed, that population plateaued. It didn't go back down. It just plateaued, and it has stayed at the same percentage for decades now. That's what we're seeing right now with the trans community. It is becoming more socially acceptable to be transgender. So we are in that era where we're seeing what seems to be a spike in the population, but that's not actually what's happening. What's happening is people are now comfortable expressing that, hey, I am transgender, and we will eventually see a plateau. But right now we're in the middle of that apparent spike.
okay, so then how does like if you think that that's the reasoning of why or whatever that it's like socially acceptable now, then like if it's sociably acceptable now and just like how like trends or whatever get sociably acceptable and then they go away, like people change like their styles all the time. People go from like wanting to look like their ghetto or whatever to looking like their country.
That's gender
to looking like
expression. Gender
whatever.
expression
Like
and gender identity are different. Gender expression can
identity.
change
So
on a
if you like
dime for
look
any
like
reason.
something or you feel like something, then like couldn't you identify as like a dog?
No,
No.
that's
So
a different species.
Different
let me ask you.
species.
Let me ask you a quick question. How many times throughout your life would you say you wanted to change your style?
Like every year.
Okay. How many times would you say you wanted to change your genitalia?
Never.
Right. So do you see how like this isn't a common thing that people are just like, oh, I think I'm going to change my gender now. Oh, this year I'm going to be this. Now next year I'm going to change to this gender. That doesn't happen. It's not synonymous.
Well, also, not to break up the flow of the conversation, but I gonna just point out, please don't refer to people as like looking ghetto or anything like that.
Yeah,
Like that
I didn't catch that either. I apologize,
Yeah.
chat, but thank you for pointing it out.
What is wrong with that?
Thank you, Ricky.
it's a
Just don't do it.
negative racial
It's
connotation behind it.
yeah.
Yeah.
How is that racial? I'm not talking about any race.
There's white ghettos, black
Just
ghettos.
Oh my
Mexican
thank
ghettos.
fucking
you.
lord!
Bruh.
It's not racist. It's
Oh
just a
my
nice actual
fucking
term.
lord!
Yeah, I'm not meaning it like that. But
Yeah, it doesn't.
Okay,
Okay,
it's
but its
impact over
impact
intent, and
exactly.
it's yeah.
It has a
okay,
negative
so
racial history behind it, whether you mean it or
what
not.
do people do when they are born with female genitalia but have male chromosomes or whatever?
What do you mean? What do they do? They
Yeah,
would typically
Swire
be
syndrome.
what or like what would that be?
that would be intersex.
Yeah, generally speaking, you
So
get assigned.
what would
Hold on.
their
I,
gender and
I,
sex be?
I'm
Or
explaining.
intersex is their sex, but what's their gender?
Hold on. So generally, when you're born, the doctor will assign a sex. That's typically just based on external genitalia. A lot of times, we will find out later on that somebody may be intersex, based on things that we didn't see, like their chromosomes or their internal genitalia or other characteristics, maybe their hormones, where we find that they're actually intersex. It may not be what they were assigned at birth. This is actually fairly common. However, a doctor is not assigning a gender because a gender is not a biological thing. It is psychological and it is social. So it is not something that a doctor can assign. Generally, parents will assume a gender based on the fact that the majority of people are cisgender. So they can assume that, but we have to understand that we can be incorrect because not everybody is cisgender.
Okay, so if how is it fair to women and how is it fair to men for trans women and men to go around saying that they're just blatantly or that they're just women when they're not putting trans in front of it? Like how you can't
How is
say
that?
you're a
How is
woman
that not
Define
fair?
fair.
How
What
is
is
that
not
if
fair
you're
unfair?
not
about that?
born if you're not born with the parts of a woman, if you're not born with the DNA of a woman, of a female, then like females grow into women. Like that's
You
what
got like that switch up, right? You corrected yourself. The parts of a female,
Yeah.
the sex of the gender of a female, because they're women. They're not female. Women is gender. Female is sex. So they're not claiming they're women. Adora isn't claiming she's, or they're not claiming they're female. Adora's not claiming she's a female. They're women, which is
okay,
why
but
it's
if
quote unquote
you are a
fair.
trans woman, then you should put that on
Why?
any document or
Then you
whatever.
should put a cis woman in front of you every time.
Then that's fine because that would mean that I am a biological female.
So
How many genders are there,
Sure.
friend?
There's two genders.
Right,
There's
man and woman, right?
107.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I know so two genders, man and woman, right?
Hmm.
So trans women are not women. What are they?
Men.
Yeah, so this is the reason we don't put trans, like your whole argument being like, how is it fair that they should put trans? It's because you mean that you want us to just call ourselves men, and and that's like the way that you're trying to word it. You mean men. You don't mean that we're trans women.
Yeah.
You mean that we're
Well,
men, and
you were
that's why we're
born.
not conceding that language to you.
And that's
You were
disgusting.
born a male, which
What my
grow into
backside or like
men.
the
Oh, shush.
You were born a male, which grow into men.
typically grow into men.
Exactly.
Yeah, typical. Do you see the awkward
Okay,
Typically,
word
it's not
so
there?
what
always.
has this been found? Like, is this only in our human species or
No.
whatever? Because
No.
no animals, like, no nothing, like,
So
has
we
ever
are.
been trans. Like, our brain,
So
some people's
so
brains,
hold
like,
on.
that's like mental illness to think that you can be
You,
No.
you
another.
asked a question. We have an answer. Let us answer.
Yeah. So no, we are the only species that has gender because we can only communicate within our own societies and cultures. So there are not other transgender animals. However, other animals can change sex. They can have different sex characteristics that don't align. This is very common. But humans are the only ones that have gender. So that's why we don't refer to animals as being transgender.
Okay, so what?
What do you mean? You asked the
It's
question.
a
I answered your
mental
question.
illness. It has to be something mental, like for you to think that you like therapy has to be involved or something for you to think that you need to change your gender or whatever. Like if you think
Nobody is
something's wrong
changing
with
their
you,
gender.
if you think
We've told
something
you
is
this
wrong with
multiple
you to the
times.
point where you have to like if something's wrong with you to the point where your brain is telling you that you are something that you are not, then that's like a mental illness. That's literally not
Okay,
correct.
It is
okay.
not a mental illness.
So then why is being transgender not described as a mental illness by professionals?
You have to go to therapy if you are. That's close enough.
No, you
No.
don't.
Do you know?
If
Do you know
you
what
want
makes
to
something a
go
mental? Do you know what
through,
makes
if you want to
something
go
a mental
through,
illness, friend?
if you want to
You,
go through to change, if you want to change your body parts, you have to get therapy to confirm that. And
yes,
if you
because that's
confirm
a
that,
separate
then
thing.
that means that something is incorrect about you to the
And
point where you're not comfortable
do
with
you
yourself,
know
that
what
you have to get surgery to change it.
Do you know what makes something a mental illness or disorder?
No, can you tell me?
So can I ask
It's
you a question? If
oh my,
sorry,
sorry. It
Yeah.
no,
interferes.
Andy, I'm sorry. You were talking.
No, you're good. You're good. It interferes with your ability to function in society. So transgender is not the mental
That does
disorder
though,
here.
because some
No, I'm not done. I will explain. Transgender is not the mental illness here. There's a reason there's a separation between transgender and gender dysphoria. Because gender dysphoria would be the diagnosis that would be congruent with transgender people who experience that psychological distress. Because it's not the misalignment of sex and gender that's the mental illness. And it's not even the misalignment between sex and gender that causes people to get these surgeries. It is the psychological distress that some trans people experience that causes them to seek out that care. So it is
so how
not
is
that.
it
So
like
it is not being trans that makes them mentally ill or have a mental disorder. It's that distress that they experience from it.
how is it so that only some or few of the trans people or whatever of the community want to change their body parts, but the others don't? Like,
Yeah.
how are
So
you
it is.
trans then? Like, that
It's not.
seems like
It's not inherently that like you don't. What makes mental disorder in this case? Did you? Okay. Um. So it, Sorry, I got thrown off. So in this case, what makes it different is that some trans people who experience that incongruence don't experience prolonged or intense distress. So if you experience occasional, maybe once a week, psychological distress from that incongruence, you won't have gender dysphoria, even if you have that distress. Or if you experience it every day, but it's more of like a kind of slight discomfort and you're just fine experiencing your everyday life, you're not going to get the gender dysphoria diagnoses. So that incongruence isn't what like the disorder is. It is strictly like if it is intense and it is consistent that it interferes with your everyday living.
So the
So
other question I have. Oh, I thought you were done, Andy.
no, go
So
ahead, Mel.
you mentioned that you need to go to therapy to change, for people need to go to therapy to make changes to their body that are, extreme changes. If you wanted to have your tubes tied or you wanted to have a hysterectomy because you don't want to have children, do you think you could just go do that or do you think there's some therapy involved before they'll allow you to do that?
of course there's stuff involved for every like
large procedure like that, but I'm talking specifically
So
about
does that mean somebody has a mental illness because they want to be certain that you're making a decision that's the best for you before they actually go through with it?
well, some
Or is that
people
just a
that go
safeguard
through
that's in place?
people that go through therapy and then do get that procedure done regret that later on. So the same can happen with trans people. That's what I'm saying. It's not correct. There are people later on in your life you will never forever feel like this. Like it's always going to be a phase. Like it's not.
No.
You are what
Okay,
you're
I
born
thought that
as. Whatever you're born as is what you will forever
no,
be.
I really, really need you to stop and listen because I thought that this was a phase. I thought that I was going to grow out of this.
She's frozen.
App crashed.
Well,
Ba-da-ba-ba. It's not a phase.
Definitely not.